Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Purudikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Purudikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to the Assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 29th day of April, 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 7, the Science of God, Chapter 8, Lord Nrsingadev slays the king of the demons, text number 30. Sangrambha Dusprekshya Karala Lochano Vyatananantam Bilihan Swajifaya Asrig Lavaktaruna Kesharanano Yatantra Mali Dvipa hatyaya harihi sangrambaduspreksha karala lochano sangrambaduspreksha karala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajifaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajifaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajifaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajifaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajifaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajivaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi. No? Go ahead. You're up. Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano Vyatananantam vilihan svajivaya Asriglavaktarunakesharanano Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi. Anyone on Zoom?
Samramba dushprekshya karala lochano
Sangrambadusprekshakarala lochano
Vyatananantam vilihan svajivaya
Vyatananantam vilihan svajivaya
Asri lavaktaruna kesharanano
Asriglavaktarunakesharanano
Yatantramali dvipa hatyaya harihi
Yatantramali dvipahatyaya harihi. Sangrambha, because of great anger. Duspreksha, very difficult to look at. Karala, very fearful. Lochanaha, eyes. Vyata, expanded. Ananantam, the edge of the mouth. Vilihan, licking. Swajivaya, with his tongue, asriklava, with spots of blood, akta, smeared, aruna, reddish, keshara, mane, like a mane of hair, ananaha, and face, yatha, just as, antramali, decorated with a garland of intestines, dvipahatyaya, by the killing of an elephant, harihi, the lion. Translation. Lord Nrsingadev's mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes, full of anger, were impossible to look at. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nrsingadev, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiraṇyakashipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that has just killed an elephant. Nectar. Purport. The hair on Lord Nrsingadev's face, being sprinkled with drops of blood, was reddish and looked very beautiful. Lord Nrsingadev pierced Hiraṇyakashipu's abdomen with his nails, pulled out the demon's intestines, and wore them as a garland, which enhanced his beauty. Thus the Lord became very fearsome, like a lion engaged in fighting an elephant. I'm going to read one more. Nakankorot patitarit sororuham viswijjatasyanuchadhanudayudhan ahan samastan nakashastapani bhir tordandayuto nupatan sahasrashaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had many, many arms, first uprooted Hiraṇyakashipu's heart and then threw him aside and turned toward the demon's soldiers. These soldiers had come in thousands to fight with him with raised weapons and were very faithful followers of Hiraṇyakashipu. But Lord Nrsingadev killed all of them merely with the ends of his nails. Purport. Since the creation of the material world, there have been two kinds of men, the Devas and the Asuras. The Devas are always faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the Asuras are always atheists who defy the supremacy of the Lord. I know we say Asuras, but I'm sorry, it's Asuras. At the present moment, throughout the entire world, the atheists are extremely numerous. They are trying to prove that there is no God and that everything takes place due to combinations and permutations of material elements. Thus, the material world is becoming more and more godless, and consequently, everything is in a disturbed condition. If this continues, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly take action, as he did in the case of Hiraṇyakashipu. Within a second, Hiraṇyakashipu and his followers were destroyed. And similarly, if this godless civilization continues, it will be destroyed in a second, simply by the movement of one finger of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demons should therefore be careful and curtail their godless civilization. They should take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement and become faithful to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are doomed. As Hiraṇyakashipu was killed in a second, the godless civilization can be destroyed at any moment. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. Dvijamani, can you get that? Those curtains. So maybe Vera can get it. Thank you, people. So, this is quite striking. This is God in his most fierce form. And I remember reading in Krishna book. Krishna book is, there's a lot of battles there, especially in the latter part when Krishna goes to Dwarka 18 times. Eventually he battles with Jarasandha, and each time he annihilates his whole army, and there's blood flowing everywhere. And the arms that have been cut off look like little branches flowing in the rivers of blood. And Prabhupada says there, I think it's in the text, and he's saying that the devotees were very enlivened by all this, but those who are not devotional, even not, just they may not be out and out demons, but they're just not devotional. They're aghast and they're taken aback by all this. So this is the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is a law. There is law in this creation. The law of God. The ultimate law. And when people forget those laws or just out and out ignore them willfully, there's a price to pay. And actually the world we see out there is paying the price. I was just reading yesterday, there's hundreds of tornadoes in the Midwest. Hundreds of houses have been destroyed. Just, you know, I mean, it used to be a tornado would come and hit Oklahoma or something, you know. Hundreds of tornadoes. So all of this, I mean, you can see it, even if you're not a believer in God, you can believe in science. You know, if we keep pouring out all of these greenhouse gases, I mean, this was understood back in the 80s by one fellow, and even the demons, the executives of Exxon, this is well known, they were told by their scientists, because they all employ these scientists, you know, because it's a very rich company, has billions of dollars to spend on this, that we're going to be heating up the atmosphere. There's going to be, you know, the rising oceans and a lot of the stuff that's going. And so Exxon, their solution was, we'll pay off some scientists to deny it, so it doesn't become a thing. You know, so we can keep making money. That's their focus. That's what Hiraṇyakaśipu means. Always looking for the gold first, for the material benefit. How can, you know, take over the whole universe, exploit everyone, you know. So eventually, whether one's a small little demon, you know, trying to dominate over his, you know, little block or his family, you know, demonically, or a big demon trying to become the ruler of half the earth or the whole earth, whatever it is. Eventually, the comeuppance is there, the law. And the Krishna consciousness movement, actually, Prabhupada says here, and I think what we're reading this morning, or I read recently, I sometimes mix these things up, that the only hope for the world is the Krishna consciousness movement. The only hope. Because it's systematically, because the point is that this is Krishna's movement. This is how he is, you know, exercising his power in this world for good through his pure devotees. That's always been like that. And we read, it's very dramatic in the Bhagavad Gita, where at the critical moment, when Krishna, remember what his mission is. He says very clearly at the beginning of the 4th chapter, Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya duskritam, dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavama yuge yuge. So he comes primarily to protect his devotees, to enliven his devotees, just like here. Why did Nrsimhadev come? To protect Prahlad from Hiraṇyakaśipu. And in the process, of course, all of his soldiers were coming, and he annihilated them also, you know. So, and vinachaya to duskritam. What could be a more graphic demonstration than that? To destroy the demons, to destroy the duskritas. Duskritas are always doing wrong things for the wrong reason. And to reestablish Dharma. These things all go together. You can't have the Dharma if the demons are ruling the world. You see? And people need to be educated also. So he's coming for that. So that's always Krishna's mission, that somehow or other. And the part about the enlivening devotees, there's a nice verse, I think in connection with the rasa dance. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusam deyamastataha bhajate tadushi krida yashrudvat tatparo bhavet. That I come periodically, once in a day of Brahma, but he comes, and enacts his most attractive Raja Leela, just so that his devotees will be enlivened, they'll be refreshed in their memory of those Leela, and they'll be written down in beautiful poetry. Are you appreciating how wonderfully these verses are put together? So that they'll be able to meditate on him and remember him. Anugrahaya bhaktam manusham deyamastataha. I come in my original human form, Bhajate tadushi krida, and perform krida, lila, yashruta toparo bhaved. When one hears about them, they become devoted to me, become enlivened. So that's what we're experiencing here. This is part of Krishna's lila, this Nrsimhadev lila. And there's so many, I mean, I hope many of you, maybe not all of you, are aware of this Nrsimha Kavacha. You've heard of the Nrsimha Kavacha. Many devotees learn that, the Nrsimha Kavacha, because it's such a dangerous world out there. Kavacha means an armor. And this is an armor built of transcendental sound. And you pray to Lord Nrsimhadev there, and it even says that it'll protect you from diseases. Yeah. And then the last verse is just this wonderful meditation. I have to share it with you. Garjantam, you can just hear it, you know. Garjantam, garjayantam, hijapatapatalam spotayantam hatantam. Rupyantam, tapayantam, divibuviditijam, chepayantam, chapantam. Krandantam, roshayantam, dishi satatam, sangharantam, barantam, vikshantam, purnayantam, kadanikadasadaya, divyasingham, namami. Does everyone understand what it means? Garjantam, garjayantam. So obviously these words are related. So one is, he's screaming, he's yelling. How loud the noise was when he appeared from that pillar. It struck the heart, right? So garjantam is yelling. And he's causing others to scream also in fear. You know, the demons. As soon as he comes out, then Harasipa was screaming. So it's garjantam, garjayantam. The second one is a long A to say. Nijabhutta patalam. With his arms, with his many arms. We see his many arms, not just four, but many, many, many. Nijaputalam spotayan hamatamdam. So he's throwing the demons here and there, you know. And rupyantam, he's searching them out. Garjantam garjiyan nijaputapatam spotayantam atantam. Rupyantam tapayantam. He's searching for them, rupyan, and he's causing them great pain. With all his weapons and of course his nails. He killed them all with the nails. And who? Ditipuji Ditijam, the Daityas. The Daityas are a race of demons, of whom Hiraṇyakaśipu was very prominent. But we're working on the Bhagavad Gita. And we're going over, checking revisions that have been done and seeing more revisions. Now, many of you are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe I forget the number of the verse in the 10th chapter, but Krishna is describing his vibhutis. He's describing his expansions and who he is amongst of warriors. I am Arjun, he says to Arjun. You know, that's enlivening to him. So it says now, the translation of Daitya demons, among the Daitya demons I am Prahlad. Does that sound right? See, you don't think, well, it's written there, it must be right. No. It's not right, and it's not what Prabhupada said. If you say among the Daitya demons I am Prahlad, that makes Prahlad a demon. He was born in demonic, but he was anything but a demon, right? So what Prabhupada said, what he dictated, was among the Daityas I am Prahlad. You see the difference? He's a Daitya. You can't say he's not a descendant of Diti, but he is not a demon. So that's what we've been experiencing lately, the contrast. You know, Hiraṇyakaśipu has become so powerful, he's completely in control, but he couldn't control his own little palace, you know, and his school. Prahlad would not yield to his power and his threats and his, you know, he was trying to put the fear of, not the fear of God, the fear of Hiraṇyakaśipu into him. And he wasn't fearful. He's felt so protected, even before Nrsimhadev came. That this is one of the main principles. There's this beautiful lecture, by the way. This lady lives in Vrindavan. Her name is Daivi Shakti. And she was in Brooklyn when I came. She was a book distributor, and she went to Vrindavan, and she stayed there all these years. She learned Sanskrit and everything. And she gave this, I'm still listening to it, but it's she's exploring the 6 elements of surrender. You know, it's very important. The Sharanagati is called. And we should all know them, and I had no idea that they were progressive, that there's a progress there in the surrender, you know, when you think about it. So, anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. This is the basic principle when you try to practice Krishna consciousness. You have to perform those things that are favorable for devotional service, okay? You know, chanting Hare Krishna, coming to the temple, taking bath early in the morning, getting up early in the morning. So all the things we know. right? And pratikulya savarjanam, and give up those things which are hindrances. And as living in this society, of course, our life is full of things that are hindrances. So we have to be courageous and give those up. And the wonderful thing about it is, by chanting the holy name, you're given the spiritual power to do both of those things. Things that you would never dream of doing before. But because you're chanting, you know, not even 16 round, but you're chanting sincerely and attending, then Krishna from within is giving you the intelligence, giving you spiritual strength to follow these two things. And they're essential. The more that you can take on that's favorable, the more that you can give up that's unfavorable, the quicker your advancement will be. So those are the first two. Without those, you don't go anywhere. And then the next two are very much in line with what we're reading here. Rakshishyatiti vishvaso. Being always confident of Krishna's protection. You see? Prahlad was always confident. Now, one may say, well, yeah, but what happened? I mean, his father would, you know, had his henchmen throw him into the pot of boiling oil, off the cliff, underneath the elephant's foot, the poison snake, all the ways they had to kill people. And of course, they had their weapons. They started trying to, you know, not only couldn't they harm him, they couldn't scare him, and they couldn't hurt him. He was completely relying on Krishna, and he is the emblem, he is the example, the exemplar for remembering Krishna, meditating on Krishna, being fully absorbed in thought of Krishna. And that full remembrance is protective. Krishna protects him. You know, he protected him. And his father was kind of freaked out about that, you know, to say the least. But he thought, okay, you know, here's the teachers, they'll reform him, he's just a boy, you know. And so what was it? Oh, Krishna, Prabhupada said, oh, now I get a chance to teach my friends about Krishna consciousness. And that was the last straw, right? That's what finally got Hiraṇyakaśipu. I'm going to kill you myself, you know. Where's this God you're always talking about, right? There's no God. You know, I read something interesting a few months ago. There's some famous atheists. I forget their names, and I hope I will never remember their names. But there's some famous atheists who have written a lot of things, and they, you know, give lectures, and there's even atheist churches now. Did you know that? Because they were envious of all of the nice camaraderie and the fellowship that was going on in the actual churches. So we want that. So we'll come and we'll sing some songs together, you know. Anyway, it's crazy. So these guys, one guy is named Dawkins, I think, you know. Anyway, there's a bunch of them. And there was this article was about how all of them got in, because these are successful, and you get fame, you get money, you know. You should be able to, you know, they're selling books and then giving lectures and whatever, you know, speaking. And so that's a big temptation. I mean, there's no God, there's no life after death, so let's enjoy, you know. So they all went off and they cheated on their wives and they did this and they, you know, they all just showed that without morality, without God, there's really no basis for morality. If it's all just atoms in the void, let's exploit it as much as possible. You know, we know when we're dead, we're dead, right? When you're dead, you're dead. But no, you're never dead. So every last one of them had some big scandal in their life, because there's no foundation for, you know. So that's it. That was it's an interesting fact. And we're seeing, you know, this is the archetypal demon is Hiraṇyakaśipu. His very name, Hiraṇyakaśipu. His brother is also Hiranyaksha. His brother is always looking for more gold. Aksha means eyes, you know. And Prabhupada said he got into Brazil, they mined too much gold, and that's why it got, the earth became unbalanced and fell into the ocean, right? And then Varaha had to come, right? Why did he come as Varaha? Who can remember? Why come as a boar? Why not? You know why? Because of that big snout. He's just suitable for getting down in the bottom of the ocean. It's all muddy down there, right, of the Garbhodak Ocean. So he can get and bring up the earth. He's just suitable, you know. But he's still fully conscious, fully Krishna, fully powerful like that. So that I remember that very distinctly, because that was my first proofreading job back in Brooklyn in 1973. Late in 1973, they were producing the Bhagavatam, third canto, and they were in that part where Hiraṇyaksha and Varaha. Very exciting, proofreading all that. So Hiraṇyaksha, always looking for gold, and he was killed, and that just enraged Hiraṇyakaśipu. He was killed by Vishnu in the form of, you know, Varaha. So what did he do? He wanted to become even more powerful, so he underwent these austerities. Now it's interesting that the universe begins with Brahma being inspired to meditate, and what did he hear? He was alone. It was completely dark, but he heard something. No, not a flute. Not at the end. He heard the flute. Yes, there's 2 syllables, 3 times. You can imagine. He's this huge, vast, dark void, and he's just sitting on that lotus. What do I do now? Tapa, tapa, tapa. 3 times he heard this. So he got the hint. He's very intelligent. He's got 4 heads. So he said, okay, I have to perform austerity. That means a meditation. So he sat in meditation. And after a long, long time, that's when he heard the flute. He got inspired. He spoke the Brahma Samhita. He spoke the Brahma Samhita, which is very conclusive, that famous 5th chapter. So, tapa, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Krishna says there, I think at one point, when Brahma meets him, Lord Krishna came and met him, and Prabhupada says he shook his hand. And then he spoke the 4 essential verses of the Bhagavatam. Ahameva asameva agri nanyan yat sadasatpadam. So, any tapa, any austerity you perform will make you more powerful. These karmis are doing all kinds of austerities, right? They're getting degrees and this and that so that they can manipulate the stock market. The sports people are torturing the body so they can win a gold medal or get into the basketball, whatever it is. But to speak of football, it's insane. I was just taking my walk, and the first block I came to, one guy was walking his dog and he had a cigarette in his mouth. You don't see people smoking cigarettes on the street so much anymore. And this guy, he's just smoking a cigarette. At this late date, after we know exactly how damaging it is, someone is just smoking cigarettes. It's so, it's just like you pull the curtain down on your brain just so that you can enjoy something that is self-destructive. This is it. So Krishna consciousness means to use your intelligence and stop doing those things that are self-destructive. It doesn't have to be just cigarettes. Anything in the field of just for your sense gratification, your pleasure, either gross or subtle or mental, this is worse than, as bad as smoking cigarettes, because you're assuring yourself another birth in this world. And if you really get into it, it's not even going to be human. What a terrible waste of human life. This is such an important part of our philosophy, to understand how valuable and the human life is, and that every moment has to be used. This is avyarta kalatvam. This is one of the principles Rupa Goswami speaks about in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Not wasting time. Factually speaking, a whole material life is a terrible, terrible waste of time. Terrible waste of human life. I mean, the dogs and the cats and the insects, they can't waste time. They're already programmed in. Something to eat. Like I pass by, it's like the Bhagavatam, is the walk. There's a crow, right? And there's a corner there that's like a pilgrimage place for crows. Because there's always trash there. It's like next to a restaurant. And they don't have enough, trash bins, so there's always something there. So you see the crows, you see the seagulls, they're foraging there. So here was a classic crow. There's a verse about the crows, pilgrimage of crows. So there was something there that was very tasty for him, and I was walking. Usually as soon as I get near them, they fly off. But he was just running, he didn't want to leave that thing. So finally he took off with that in his mouth. This is bliss. My day is successful, So understanding, it's so important to understand these basic principles. We've been through so many forms of life, so many times. And each time it's been basically the same thing. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending, getting old, getting killed, getting eaten, dying, going on to the next form, and finally coming up to the human form. And then tragically having no good association, no intelligence, no instruction, and spending it like an animal, and then going back down. This is so that should be the prime ambition of every human being. How can I get out of this syndrome, this cycle of birth, death, all these? It really goes like birth, old age, disease, and death. That's usually how it comes, right? Sometimes it's just birth and death. You can die young too. But anyway, that's a foundational motive for every intelligent human being. First of all, having faith that there's life after death, that we don't die. That means reading Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is so important, as it is. So that you understand the Jayate Mrete Vakadachan Nayam Budbhava Vitavanabuya. This verse is foundational. For the soul, there is never birth or death at any time. There's not new souls coming into being all the time and old souls going out of being. No. We're as eternal as Krishna is. Aja, Nitya, Shashvata, Purana. He just repeats, we're unborn, eternal, ever-existing primeval. We're not slain when the body is slain. Now, all of us are slain. We may not be slain by a weapon, but we're slain by material energy, by old age, whatever it is. The body just becomes dysfunctional. Okay, So as soon as you know we're not going to die, I mean, that should be a big relief. He says, "Oh, great," But then you learn, but if you don't practice Krishna consciousness, you won't know that. You'll be afraid, you forget that, and you have to take another body, and you may be in subhuman body. So we want to avoid that at all costs. So that can be our initial motivation. That I don't want to take birth again. I want to go back to Godhead. That's great, So then what do? Chant Hare Krishna. Get up early in the morning. Follow these 4 regular principles. Yeah, I don't think I can do it. Yeah, you can do it. You just chant Hare Krishna. You join us. And you find out, it's not impossible. It may be difficult, but hey, we're trying to. We're trying to attain the ultimate goal of life. There's going to be difficulties. But we have to be, what is that verse? Utsahan nishchayat dharyat tat karma bhavartanat. In the matter of performing all the activities that we do, tat karma bhavartanat. And it's understood, not performing these other activities. We need to be enthusiastic, and we need to be determined, and we need to be patient. And it's interesting, the last line of that important verse is, Sangha tyagat sato vritte, isn't it? Sangha tyagat sato. Sangha here means material sangha, asat sangha, tyaga. Lord Chaitanya said this is the first quality of a devotee. They said, what is it? What's the symptoms of a devotee? Asat sangha tyaga he, Vaishnava achar. This is the first thing. Stri sangha eka sadhu Krishna bhaktar. It gives examples of the typical asadhus. Those who are too much involved in sensual activities, sex life, and those who are not devoted, mean the impersonalists. Avoid them at all costs, But asat sangha tyaga, to give up the associate. That's the whole point. Prabhupada worked so hard to build these temples. They're not just temples. They're what the Gaudiya Math calls the mat, a temple with living quarters. For, Prabhupada established men and women, actually. So we're aspiring for that. Open up a women's ashram. But the point is that so you can live together with devotees. If you're living with karmis, with non-devotees, let's call them the non-devotees, it's very difficult to make advancement. Because sangat sanjayate kama, your association produces your desires, your character. That's why prasangam, here we go, the sadhu sangasta. We already went through this. I'm going to go through the whole thing. But it's so instructive. Prasangam mandara pasham atmana kavayo vadu taesha sadhu sukrito moksha dvaram apavatam. Every word is so important. It's worth studying it. Prasanga, not just sangha, but prasanga. Pra is an intensifier. Just like, it's strong, but it's ultra strong. Whoa, we have a bunch of those in English. So, this verse says, we're attached with very strongly, ajaram pasham, just like with strong ropes, to the material things of this world. Prasangam ajaram pasham. Atmana, a soul who is in that situation with the strong attachments in his heart, like ropes. Atmana kaviyo vidu, those who are wise, kaviyo vidu, they know that that same strong attachment has to be turned to sadhus, persons. It's all personal. And that opens up the door to liberation. Changing your association. And this word prasanga comes up again in the key verse in that series. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. You see? That's strong, meaningful association with sadhus. Meanings that you hear, that you're ready to hear from real sadhus. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. Kapila Deva is speaking. He's an incarnation of Krishna. You'll hear my powerful activities recounted. Mama virya samvido, conversation. Mama virya bhavanti ritkarna rasayana kata. So these talks are nectar for the ear and mind. They're like rasayana, a life-giving elixir, giving you a spiritual life. Rasayana kata's talks. And Tad Joshanat, employing this simple yoga system, gathering with devotees and hearing about me. And what's the archetypical process of that? Sankirtan. What is that but hearing and chanting, hearing about the purest thing about Krishna, the holy name. That's the foundation of it all, especially in this age. So, Ritkana Rasayana Kata, employing this principle, Tajoshanat Ashu, quickly, which is Apavarga Vartmani. Now, I'm not going to go through a whole explanation of Apavarga, but Apavarga means liberation from all the elements of suffering in this world. It's a path of liberation. What develops quickly? Does anyone remember that last line? The first thing to develop in association with real devotees. Faith. Shraddha. Rati, attraction for Krishna, and Bhakti, here means prema bhakti. Shraddha, Rati, Bhakti, anukramishati, step by step. So that's the whole point of why it's a society, Krishna International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In the society, association, society, you can actually get spiritually strong. But we have to associate properly. That's also in the Nectar of Instruction, which I won't get into detail now. But that is such an important, key verse. The enthusiasm has to be there. Even for things that you're not materially attracted to, then, okay, act enthusiastic. You don't want to dance? Dance a little bit, anyway, in front of the deities. Krishna, you'll check out his smile. He'll be smiling a little more toward you if he actually sees you dance. I like to tell this story of this wonderful devotee named Dharmadas in Miami. He's been there ever since '68. I think he's still there. And he was the president for a while, but for a while he was a pujari. And his duty was, some of you have heard this story before, was preparing the sweets the night before. There was a whole team, and they had not only sandesh and burfi, they had pera, they had other sweets, I forget. So there was a whole team. But one day evening, somehow that team just wasn't there. It was just him, so he had to do the whole thing. So he was up all night, and he made it by Mangalartik, for the offering, but not by Mangalartik, but when they offer, I guess 15 minutes earlier. So he was pretty tired, but he's bringing in sweets, this sandesh and everything in place, and he's looking at the deities. Radha Krishna deities, beautiful there in Miami, and he was startled. They were smiling at him like he'd never seen before. The smile was like from ear to ear, And he described that this was a miracle or whatever it was, but it was directly a result of his really putting out, And you'll find so many instances. We have these wonderful stories about book distribution, They're enlivening. I mean, Vijay compiled a whole book of these, what is it called? The Treasure of the Brihad Madanga. And what are we witnessing there? Devotees who are sacrificing, who are working hard, who are overcoming, hesitancy and doubts and things like that. Utsaha nishchayad daryat. Enthusiastically, with determination, patience. All right, if I don't succeed now, maybe the next person in this space, maybe not today, tomorrow, whatever. in the process of the key process of devotional service, and they're making breakthroughs, and the people come and they respond, and it's just it's wonderful for all of us to hear it, and of course those who are experiencing making such a wonderful advancement. This is true for all of us. In all of our services, whatever it may be, there's always ways we can refine it and purify it, and sometimes the way of doing it is just getting rid of all the dross. The things that we're doing that are still holding us back, being determined to do that. So here we have Nrsingadev. Now it's getting a little late, but just I wanted to share a couple of shlokas with you. I did the Garjantam Garjiyantam, and of course this one, the other one, is very famous, but it's worth repeating every day. It's not a shloka. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase Avadabhim Bhavavardhanakavardhanangshta karma shayan Randaya tamo grasa grasa Om Swaha Abhyam Atmani Bhuvishta Om Kshram. Sorry, I don't have it written down here, but I'll just give you. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. I offer my base to the Supreme Personality of God and the Nrsingadev. Namaste Tejase. Obeisance unto you, O most powerful of the powerful. You see the repetition. When there's repetition, especially 3, like Hare Nama, Hare Nama, but 2 is still very strong. I mean, the high emotion and very, very important instruction. Namaste Tejase, most powerful of the powerful. Vajranaka Vajradangshtra. Who can guess what that means? Vajra, thunderbolt, and Naka is nails, but also teeth. They're also like thunderbolts. So with your thunderbolt nails and teeth, what does he want? What are you praying to do? It's a prayer. Karma shayan randaya. Tear to pieces all my hopes to enjoy material sense gratification. Karma shayan randaya. Tamo grasa. Dispel the darkness in my heart. Om Swaha. Then he offers oblations in the middle of the verse. Om Swaha Abhyam. Please make me fearless in this world. Atmani Bhuvishta Om Kshraum. And this word Kshraum is the seed syllable for Nrsingadev. All these deities, if you do any deity work, there's always a syllable that you chant when you worship. And for Nrsingadev, it's Kshraum. For Radharani, it's Shreem, or is it Kleem? I think it's Shreem, and for Krishna it's Kleem, So very sweet and nice, But for Nrsingadev, Kshraum. It's the sound of him ripping apart Hiraṇyakashipu's chest. Oh, Krishna. Anyway, Prabhupada says any devotee who wants to be free of material desires should chant this verse, should learn this verse. So, anyway, it's a little late. Any discussion on these or questions, comments?
Just a Sankirtan story from yesterday. Those people who came in the morning for Mangalarti, they also attended a group puja some days ago, and they were for the Sunday feast. The guy, his name's Sahil, and he's like a financial advisor. I met him at Bobo Park yesterday and distributed Ramayana to them. And they, after me, they went to the House of India. They have this different House of India, House of Finland, House of Greece, and things like that. And so they noticed that, the mother noticed that there's no Bhagavad Gitas in there, in the House of India. So he came over to me yesterday and he said, I'd like to sponsor some Bhagavad Gitas so we can bring over there. And he bought the whole case yesterday.
That must be pretty enlivening for you. It's enlivening to me too, because I'm working on these books all the time. When I know they're being distributed and appreciated, it makes my whole service worthwhile.
We're going to deliver it next weekend.
Very nice. Those are the people who came from Mangalarti? Wow.
From Toronto, Canada.
But I mean, they're not. They didn't know anything about Hare Krishna before.
No, they're practicing.
They do, because I looked over and I saw her. She knew the mantras. Yeah.
They also met Dharmasetu.
Oh, they had met Dharmasetu. Wonderful. Yeah, Dharmasetu is a very, very important member of this community. I was telling you, and yeah, because to keep such to do so much service there in the Indian community for all the homas and things that he does. Then when it comes time for them to participate, to give donations, they're ready. They really, they appreciate. We're very fortunate to have him. Hare Krishna. Well, all right.
Hare Krishna?
Oh, Haribol, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. You back from your
Haribol.
pilgrimage? I know you've been here a few days, but we didn't hear from you for a while. Or maybe you were ill?
No, I'm preparing for a major religious festival related to my book distribution.
Okay. Anyway, you have a question or a
starting
comment?
today. Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Dravida Prabhu, some people may say that this lila of Nrsimhadev appearing for the purpose of protecting Prahlad Maharaj and killing his father Hiraṇyakaśipu is not different from fiction because they do not find the archaeological proofs or evidences, like where is the palace where all did happen, or at least the remains, the ruins of the palace, where is the pillar inside the palace from which Lord Nrsimhadev did appear. So there are no archaeological proofs and things of the sort, so it's all fiction. So based on this, my question is, how do you how would you react to such kind of argument?
Well, first of all, it's pretty ridiculous because archaeology means it's ongoing. You know, I just heard that they found something. I don't know the details, but they dug deep, and they found a whole new manifestation. Did you read about that? There's something in Europe, like in the Greek thing or something. So the point is that they're always making new discoveries. So just because they haven't discovered it yet, doesn't mean they won't discover it. You can also point to some things that, there's remnants of Dwarka, and that bridge that Ram built. That's pretty amazing, right? Yeah. You finally go from what is it? It's called Sri Lanka now, right? Again, so Sri Lanka island, and you find that city. What's it called? Anyone here? Anyway, where Ram was staying, and there's a city there now, and you'll find some remnants in the. There's kind of something under the water there, the stones and things. So the point is that they're still discovering things. That is no proof. And anyway, we are concerned. We're taking our faith, we're placing our faith in what reality is, in the parampara. Now you may not, they say, well, that's no evidence. You say, well, okay, you keep living according to what you can see and hear and feel and what's been discovered that way, and we're going to take shelter of the words of great souls like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and especially Srila Prabhupada. That's our faith. What to speak of there's no proof of the soul. Show me, it's like Hiraṇyakaśipu, show me your God. You've always speaking about some God. Where is he? Is he in this pillar? Boom, And so that's like equivalent to the time of death. When all these atheists, there's no life after death. No life after death. It's all over, Of course, and it hurts so much. It's better if I die. Boom, and then boom. There's the Yamadutas. Who are these people? I'm telling you, I worked in a hospital. There's something called terminal restlessness. Then you ask any nurse who works on a ward where people die, and they're all saying, "Who are all these dogs in my room?" There's the people lying there. They're half sedated, And a lot of people, they see that. What is that? Oh, it's just a hallucination. No, they're getting hints of the Yamadutas coming to scare them, to rip them out and drag them off to. So we don't place our faith in the imperfect senses of the archaeologists or their ability. That's the typical thing. That's where the atheists, these atheists I mentioned, who all turned out to be rogues and rascals, because who needs immorality? There's no God, So it's that's not a strong argument, even from the point of view of archaeology, because it's an ongoing science. you know? And I don't know the details about some of these temples in India, but some of them are very, very ancient, and you know, and there were inscriptions there describing it. So I wouldn't put much stock in it. You know, that's not an argument that really holds any water for us. Because look, here we are all sitting here, and everyone in the Hare Krishna movement or who's participated in it, and just by this chanting of this sound, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, you experience so much in your life. You know, is it real or not real? Is anxiety a real thing? I don't see any archaeological evidence of it. No, but it's real as anything, right? Is love real? Of course it is. So if you experience your anxiety is evaporating, and you're becoming more peaceful, and you're actually experiencing pleasure in, you know, spiritual things like kirtan and so forth, that's proof, to me anyway, that it's all true, because this is what they're all saying. All of the acharyas are saying, you just try it. Please, you just chant. Prabhupada, he came, he had such faith in the holy name. He goes into the heart of Kali Yuga, New York, you know. And none of his godbrothers would come there, you know. They was written it off, and no, they can't. You know. Though Lord Chaitanya said, every town and village on the earth, Priti Viti means on the earth, not in India, you know. And he gave the instruction, oh, you're born in India, you should make your life perfect and then go all over the world and preach, you know. So Prabhupada did it, and he proved that Krishna consciousness is universal. He got these, you know, not just in America, but then, you know, in Indonesia and Africa and everywhere. And if people took part of the process, they would feel the result, become very joyful and peaceful, and they would lose anxiety. Like, for me, that's proof right there. That's more important proof than any rocks you can find. Sorry, that's the best I can do on that, Prabhu. But that's
yes, and if I may, Dravida Prabhu, when I visited New York, I did go to see in Tompkins Square Park the Hare Krishna tree.
Uh-huh.
And that is...
I lived like 2 blocks from Tompkins Square Park. But I was 2 years late. I was 1968 instead of 66. But I would hear the Hare Krishnas. They still had the place in New York. They hadn't moved to Brooklyn yet, and they would come down the street and everything. But I was an out-and-out atheist at that time. Oh, that's just the Hare Krishnas. I was a street musician. And I'm looking for drums. And that sounds a pretty good beat. Oh God, that's just the Hare Krishnas. Let me go to the park and find the guys playing the conga drums, you know, like that. But eventually I was one of them marching up and down the street. Hare Krishna.
And Dravida Prabhu, that was the tree under which Srila Prabhupada started chanting, no?
I'm sorry?
The tree in Tompkins Square Park with the plaque.
Yeah. That's the tree. If you look, there's a photograph of that was put on the cover of a newspaper, a local newspaper. Save Earth Now. And Prabhupada got up and spoke. After 3 hours of chanting, he got up to explain the mantra and explain what it was all about. And he stood near that tree. And of course the kirtan was nearby too. But if you look at there's videos of that. If you get on YouTube, you can look, you know, Hare Krishna 1966 or something, and you'll see there's a video of the chanting in Tompkins Square Park. You don't see the tree, but that's where it happened, and right near the tree is where Prabhupada gave a little speech, you know, on what the Hare Krishna.
And that is a very good archaeological proof, if I may say it.
Very, very good. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. By the way, one last thing. In the Narayana Kavacha, you remember this in the whole pastime with Chitraketu, there was some nice verses about Nrsingadev there also. Vidikshu Dikshu Ramadaksa Mandad. He's everywhere here and there, you know. You can learn there.